Hi, welcome to Jade Kind Gaming. My name is Adam, and today I have another of the Dwarven Forge build ideas video. Going with some basic dungeon build ideas. I have in front of me 3 Dwarven Forge sets. I just have the standard Dungeons Remastered set. Lots of just good basic core building pieces, though kind of boring in and of itself. I have Zaltar's Gameroom, smaller, but has at least some fancy pieces, enough to make it interesting. Probably my go-to. If you're only getting one set to start out with, I'd get this one because it combines normal functionality pieces, but at least having some interesting stuff that makes it exciting to play with. And then the Fanatic's Trove, which has basically the same layout basically as the Gameroom, but is all fancy pieces. And so the idea is I'm going to take these 3 sets and I'm going to build 3 different builds. Each build combining 2 sets. So I'm going to start with the Zaltar's Gameroom and the Classic Dungeon Remastered sets combined, because those are both currently available, whatever. And then I'll mix it up with the other one. Fanatic's Trove is, at the time of recording at least, only available unpainted. Although, if you don't have it, I say go add it to your wish list so Dwarven Forge knows you want it, because if you do dungeons at all, you want it. But yeah, so I'm going to just scoot the Fanatic's Trove aside. And I will come up with a build with these, and I'll come back with that. And so I have combined the Starter Dungeon Revised and Zaltar's Gameroom. Made a little mini dungeon here. Sort of has like an entryway, and then some passages. Sort of what could be like a boss room or something here. A big room for open combat, maybe room to put your objective. Left over, I have the 4 torches, because I used the green orbs instead. The bars, because I put the solid door insert there. And 3 just plain floors. Everything else got used. And then, of course, it doesn't come with minis, but to kind of give an idea for the idea with the sample build, I'm like, okay, let's get a townsfolk and put that in there. You're trying to rescue the townsfolk, and it's just whatever generic minis you want. But I got a big fleet of gnolls, so I'm gonna put some gnolls in here, and then maybe like the boss gnoll has like a pet guard drake to liven up that encounter. So the idea is, somehow or another, you drop down. Maybe it's the bottom of like a abandoned well, or you find a trapdoor in someone's basement, whatever. You drop down into this little entry room that has a door to go into this hallway. The hallway just sort of leads straight down, but at some point walking down the hallway, it's trapped, and we can put in our magnetic trap there to shoot a bolt, weaken up the characters a little bit, let them know there's some danger around. Anyways, and then they have sort of a T intersection once they get to the end. Say they go this way, there's double doors into the large room. Which means, these doors are shut. If they're sneaky enough, maybe they can prepare around both doors, and there's just a little space between them where they could, flank the doors. There's a little space out, so they can try and do some flanking options, keep some cover with the doors, whatever. Have a battle into here. Big grouping of simple gnolls trying to get to this back prison room, which is made with the There are a couple of the passage wall pieces just to close up one side and sort of make a unique shape room. But so you got your prisoner you're trying to rescue there. Likewise, you go the other way, you get big fancy doors, you got your boss with his throne, big battle here, table can be thrown over to get partial cover, weapons on the walls, you got a battle there. And if you throw off this weapon rack, good spot check, there's a secret passage out. It could perhaps lead to the next adventure. So yeah, we got a couple combat spaces, a trap, some options for tactics, which and I try and remember it. The whole point with doing, if you're going to go to 3D Dungeon, you want to make sure your battles have cool tactical options, choices for the players, as well as for the monsters. If they're not sneaky coming down this hallway, then all of a sudden these gnolls are all flanking around the door here, ready to pull the exact opposite trick on the players of stabbing them as they go through. So that's kind of the idea about, letting some choices and decisions be made. But yeah, just some little low-level encounters. Of course, you could reskin what monsters are used and, go from gnolls to trolls or all the way up to, whatever, bunch of mummies. Just really increase the difficulty as you need, but sort of idea of just sort of a basic little encounter room. And I will now separate things apart, and I think the next one I will do Zaltar's Gameroom and Fanatic's Trove. So I'll combine those two into making another dungeon build option. And so here I have made a build using Zaltar's Gameroom and the Fanatic's Trove, which leaves for a very fancy build. Lots of lights. I went with all the same lights. So things that I didn't use, the 4 globes. Of course, you could switch out any 4 of the lights for those, but I was like, let's keep them all firelight. I did not use the 3 wall inserts because I used bars instead. I had 2 little spare one bys. I didn't throw the little mini dungeon in there because can't use that in every build. I have a normal door and a narrow door, and one of the big floors because I just couldn't find a spot to fit it in. So, which is one of the things with not having the starter dungeon with just all the bulk pieces is, little limitations on there. So I guess the idea behind this one starts over here, most likely. And you could put this right up against where that secret door was on the last build. Or say, if you don't want to, you could have it where maybe they break in there. Although it seems like this is designed for them to go through. Another possible use for this is maybe it's designed for them to enter here. Maybe they enter in the back in the dungeon cell, and you just swap this into what's already there when they break in. So there's a couple different ways where you might use that. But I'm gonna put in some little enemies. You can take like your little monster guy and train him up. And you got him chained up. And you get whatever your jailer or your dark looking caster dude maybe comes in here. Half orc archer. Just whatever cultist little cult hideout. This is less of like a whole dungeon, more of like a intersection of a dungeon, because it's got 3 entrances to it. I'm designing it as if you come in here though, because that's where they've prepared for. So, oh no, walking through, fire shoots out there. You got arrow traps. From the corner shooting at you here. And as if that were not enough, that floor is actually a spike pit. So there's a whole little trap area here. And maybe like until you trigger it, all the bars are up. And it's like the bars fall down. And then it like just fire goes off, following the spikes, get shot with arrows, just everything goes off at once as you're locked in there when you are like trying to rush in and get to these guys. Yeah, so you have the whole little trap hall there. You got the little bandit hideout with a magically warded door that will go to some passage, whatever you build this way. Just double doors going off that way, which, you know, not to be left out. There's a wall with a crossbow bolt over there too, another trap if you're trying to leave that way or enter that way. Back this way, sort of like a table blocking it, but there's sort of a rundown little imprisonment here. Got whatever fiend they're trapping there, and the room's like all got rubble because it's not well kept. This little corner area has a throne and treasure. Maybe the boss stays in there. That's where he does his meetings from. But it's just a small little room. And they're real small. Like I was able to use these little bitty rooms off the side that are cramped spaces. That most likely, you wouldn't like have this as it's like this whole area would be one encounter. But they could run in here, duck cover, jump in and out, kind of thing as the battle's going on. So they have like different rooms where they're sneaking around and doing things. And this is just like a little armory with like 4 of these little weapon racks in there. Yeah, so very fancy build, utilizing both of those sets, and like I said, they break in that way. Just take those out. Everything that would be on there is maybe that sets the fiend free when you do that. Oh no, and consequences, but that way you're entering from the back and avoiding the trap room. Just different ways to run with it. But yeah, like I said, a lot more pieces kind of left over on this kind of build, and end up with like, when using as many as you can, you end up with just hallways that lead. You don't have as many walls to properly close things off. Not having the basic building pieces. But it definitely looks a lot fancier. So I think I will now put away Zaltar's Gameroom, and I'm going to bring back the Classic Dungeon Revised, and I will build that along with the Fanatic's Trove, and we'll come up with something with that combo. And here I have a build using the Fanatic's Trove and the Starter Dungeon Revisited, and I love it. These two were probably my favorite combo to play with, because the Starter Dungeon gave plenty of space, and the Fanatic's Trove has enough cool pieces. This was a fun one, and I made a cool, basically like boss encounter area. You have 3 doors that sort of enter the region. Say it's where like guard hang out, because they're protecting the area. So you got your main room in here, big open space, and then you have 2 narrow doors that lead down to hallways on either end. I guess the pieces I didn't use were the bars, because I used fill there, and I didn't use the little chains. But if you were going to have your boss that you're fighting be something that would fit in the chains, you could put the chains on the wall here, and that'll work to have that. Instead, my boss is bigger, because you got some big open space here, and we'll get to that in a moment, how that's used in a moment. You got 2 doors. It seem like normal entrances into the chamber where it's kept, and both of them have these little walls facing them that allow for fire traps. So if you open the actual door to get at the prisoner, it sets off fire, to block anything from getting out of it. You have to know how to get through the secret doors. Whatever, pull a torch or however it is. Doesn't matter. And then you have a room behind there with a warded door that leads back to this back room, which this back room is also protected. This is where, like, probably actually back here is where you'd activate whatever to open those, because it's well defended. You have the warded door, you have the traps here, you also have the pit trap on the floor. Also where the armory, like, you can have, like, magic weapons back there, you know, whatever. If it's like a prisoner that is not a total monster, that can be where its equipment is stored. But it's sort of the back room of the prison. Now, how does this fight with this thing start? Well, that's where these pieces that aren't quite in here come in. You lift up these two walls, you lift up these two floors. Put the floor, rubble floor down here, rubble floor down here, and broken wall. It breaks out, so you connect this room through a hole into the larger room, and so, like, you can actually, like, have this out for role play and stuff until whatever. If you're defending, you know, it manages to whatever, the thing sneaks around the back and something helps break it out, or if you're trying to get through and, you know, it's maybe not a giant monster, maybe it's an ally, and you blow open the wall while the guards are distracted by another character. Either way, that then opens a big area here. It's big enough, you know, it can, you know, this thing looks, I mean, I chose this as, you know, you can use any big monster thing. This one looks like one that could, like, bend down and, like, skir through smaller areas. It's, like, all insectoid. So, it comes out here, rawr, and, kills the guards. On its way out. It's getting free. So yeah, that made for a big old, like, boss encounter kind of room. Which is fun. You know, that's a cool thing. So this could be, you know, at the end of anything. And it has, like, you know, triple doors there, just to kind of feel grand. Perhaps, you know, if you're building as part of something larger, you have a hallway there or a room or whatever, and that, you know, players could stand off to the side and try and take cover behind doors, but definitely options for that. But yeah, just a big encounter. Maybe the weapon required to destroy the monster is back in the back room, whatever. But yeah, this was a fun combination. When I first started getting Dwarven Forge, people were very much, you need to get this, you know, the standard dungeon, you know, set, that just general, like, bread and butter pieces, walls, corners, floors. And when I got it and I did my unboxing here, it was boring. On its own, it is boring. Combined with even just one other set, it is awesome. You know. But yeah, so here is a third, and we got 3 builds. Those 3 kind of basic to semi-basic sets, and combining them to make different dungeon environments. But yeah, so hope you got some inspiration for dungeon builds. Either if you have the same sets, things that you can blatantly rip off, or even if not, perhaps just got inspiration for things to do with the sets that you do have. You know, if you like these build idea videos, give the video a thumbs up. Helps me out, lets me know these are good to keep doing. Which for me, it's good to keep doing because I'm going to keep collecting the Dwarven Forge. I love it. Otherwise, if you're not subscribed, please do so. Comment. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.